welcome. Today we're having a little chat, a little quick kind of heads up about the older entrepreneur. Now, some would say that we're not the fresh-faced entrepreneur, but I'd beg to differ. I think you can have an older, fresh face and still be part of the fresh-faced community. So let's talk about what that means. And there is a huge bunch of opportunity here, whether you are an older entrepreneur or whether your market is the older entrepreneur. And I'm going to tell you why both are hugely beneficial. So if we just start off by saying that there is this perception that women of a certain age are invisible. And I'll tell you that's just poppycock, because I'm Darcy from Sticky Bee, and I'm here to say I ain't invisible, and I'm not going to stand at the back of the room, nor am I going to be quiet, because I've just got too much to share. So I hope this empowers those of you who are over 50 to get your elbows out and just say, this, frankly, well, it ain't my first rodeo, but I got a shit ton to share. And with this not being your first rodeo, there is a whole bunch of wisdom or wisdom that comes with the age. So one of the things that we think about is that before we do anything, we got to remember this notion that before they buy from you, they first gotta buy you. So it doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service or anything. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And that's an old hackneyed proposition, but that's really, really what it's all about. So you've got to sell them you first. So let's take a little look at what that might mean. Now let me get this set back up again here. So if you're over 50 and you feel like you've been put out to pasture, I would just say to you that don't let that happen, because it's up to you to say, I'm here and I've got some cool stuff to share. And because I've been around the block a few times, well, let me tell you, I know shit. And this is I will tell you that my audience is probably a decade or two younger than I am. When people see me present, because I have gray hair, there is this, oh, well, she's old, and if she can do it, anybody can do it. And I will tell you that indeed is the fact. But you've got to put your personality into being part of the proposition. So before they buy from you, they must first buy you. So don't let them put you out in the pasture. Now, I do really think that this is interesting, because it is just poppycock, and it is about perceptions. And one of the things I think we all need to do is really, in terms of our marketing, actually set up a list of what those perceptions are, and then just knock the hell out of them. Don't let anybody put you in a box. You decide how you're going to present yourself, what you have to say, how you can teach, how you can help someone learn. And this is all about what I'm going to talk about next week, about these 21 triggers for science-backed, influence-packed ways to stop being that unseen entrepreneur. Step out in front and be real proud of all the things you've learned and where you sit in the marketplace. And I'll tell you, it's right up front. Because what's happening is there is this huge rolling tsunami in social media. We've been privy to what's happening with Elon Musk and Twitter. We've seen that Facebook has just let go of thousands of people. I mean, the ground is moving. And I will tell you that it doesn't mean you got to leave social media, that you've got to move on. Because if you are an entrepreneur, there is no better environment than being in social media, being in the marketplace. But for the amount of time that it takes to learn a new marketplace, stay where you are and benefit from the exodus of other people. Because if Facebook really was a country, it's actually larger than India and China combined. So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of customers for us to connect with. But you've got to be specific about what you're bringing to the game. You've got to understand who your customer is. And you've got to actually be seen. Because if you're playing in this marketplace, like Where's Waldo, if you're not seen, you can't sell. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So before they buy from you, they must first buy you. But you've got to be seen to sell. So this kind of hopefully will plant some seeds with you to say, how am I being seen? How am I presenting myself? How am I positioning what I bring to the game that's going to help them solve their problems? Because frankly, sweet cakes, this ain't your first rodeo. And so you've been there and you've done that. What kind of stories are you writing about how that all comes together? What kind of things do you have to share? It's a whole different way of telling your stories. And I think the other thing that's really important in all of this is that there is this perception about, and I'm playing two things here. One is you as the entrepreneur, and one is if you are marketing to an older entrepreneur. And I think this kind of says it all. When, do I look like I need a stair lift? I think that this is such a wonderful comment because we are not our mothers. We are out skiing. We're out doing activities. We're out. I would say many people who are older have younger people just trying to keep up. And so this older entrepreneur or older audience, however you choose to deal with them, is actually, she controls the household income. She controls the household spending. She may be single and she's got far more funds to get involved in purchasing than her younger counterparts. I mean, frankly, this older audience is a bit of a gold mine, but you gotta know how you're talking to them. And if all you're trying to sell are stair lifts and those tubs that have the doors on them so you can step into them, that's not who she is. That's not who this audience is all about. So I think that this idea about who our audience is, and gray hair, and I don't care. So I want to tell you this little story. My niece got married in Sarasota, Florida. And we went down to Sarasota for her wedding. And there was all this activity going on the street. And this cop in his big honking motorbike pulled up. And my younger sister said, "Oh, Darcy, you gotta go and get a picture with him." And he said, "Oh, no." He said, "Why don't you just climb up on my motorbike?" And the exhaust was so hot. He said, "Oh, watch out, it's real hot." And I said, "Well, it sure is." So I took this image and used it as part of my posts and my marketing. And I got a whole bunch of feedback and reactions and engagement. And really, what we're trying to talk about here is everybody's talking about engagement's gone down and grabbing attention's gone down. And this whole idea about these 21 triggers that I'm going to talk about next week are really science-backed and influence-packed. Here's how you can get some attention. Here's how you get engagement. And it's tried and true. So one of the things that is quite interesting also is that when you look at memory, and this is not the memory about having a senior's moment. It is a science-based fact that our brains really struggle to keep all of the information that we're subjected to in the memory banks. Now, many of us will joke and say, as older people of a certain age, "Oh, I just had a senior's moment or a brain fart." But in fact, you can be younger and have them too. And what you want to do with your content is actually, because 90% of it is just kind of moves around, you want to own that 10% of the buyer's brain that they remember. And when you take advantage of these 21 triggers, that is going to be able to hold a spot in your customer's memory. So when you craft crazy little content like this, and there is this notion about you have to act your age, and quite frankly, who is there to say that is my age? I mean, I'm acting my age. White hair, and I don't care. Now, I went to a conference a couple of years ago, and one of the young bucks in the conference came up to me, and he said, "Oh, Darcy, if I was an old white woman, I'd want to be just like you." Now, the moment that he said that, I kind of thought, I think that's a compliment, but I kind of feel like I've just been insulted. Now, if I'd taken it as an insult, I couldn't have used this little story because I'd just be pissed off. But it's funny when you think about it, because first of all, I could have been a good customer of his, perhaps, but not when he has that kind of mentality. So we need to be really cognizant about how we're positioning this older audience in our marketing. And I think that this is really something to think about here. While the snow may be on the roof, the attic is still fully intact. And while we are our mother's daughters, sensible shoes, knee sock nylons, and boobs at our waist is not the look we're going for, nor is it the one we're even remotely interested in. So this older audience is savvy, is market savvy. As I said, they've got money. They're well positioned. And if you want to get into their buyer's brain, you need to be too. So I just wanted to share with you some of the feedback that I've received. And these are all from much younger clientele than me. You constantly amaze me with your zealous take and your no shit attitude. You always make me feel stronger after listening to you live or reading your posts. You're such a powerful storyteller. I can't think what will happen when you have much more room in your head. Now, that was made just before I had my 2 brain surgeries, so I thought that that one was really funny. Your posts always inspire me and they make me smile. You tell it like it is, and you have such rare and powerful gift. Amazing stuff that these folks said. I wish I could meet you in real life one day because this is if this badassery that comes through the screen, I would love to meet you in real life, full-bodied person. Amazingness. Darcy really knows what she's talking about. It's magical what she can do for your brand. So there is a whole bunch of benefit of being yourself. And quite frankly, risking being vulnerable and risking making fun of yourself. Because I'll tell you, if you can have a giggle at your own expense, it kind of opens the door, like I said yesterday. It gets people into the conversation quite quickly when we're both laughing at the same thing. Now, I also really wanted to share with you some advertising numbers. Now, this was posted in from July of 22, and it is the Facebook advertising audience profile. Now, the first thing, at least I do, and we all probably tend to do, when we're looking at kind of statistics, the first thing we think about is, oh, well, I'm going to go for the biggest pillar here, which is a male who is 25 to 34 years old. And you think that's really where the weight of the market is. And I want to say to you that that's not necessarily the case. So remember that I started out by saying an older, fresh-faced woman probably controls the household income and the household expenditures. If by chance she happens to be single, she's got a very large disposable income that she can spend on things that she wants. She's not in the middle of raising her family. And so once you figure out the cure or the offer that you have to make this audience, make for this audience, you need to start thinking about how you can connect and have a laugh with her. But when you look at this older 45 to 65-year-olds, it's not as big a pillar in terms of the large numbers of people. But bear with me for a minute and take a look at this. This is who clicks or taps on an ad. And it is that older age group. The big pillar that we thought was the younger folk, it's actually 45 to 65, and quite frankly 35 to 65 who are tapping on those ads. So again, when you're thinking of your posts and your ads and your content and how you're positioning yourself, before they buy from you, they first got to buy you. Think about this older target audience. And the other thing to consider here is that you want to think about it's called the average revenue per user, the ARPU. And if you're dealing with Canada and the United States, that marketplace is worth 3.2 times more than the average user in Europe. So Canada is, and the US are, averages about $50.25. Europe is, and these are all in American dollars. Europe is $15.64. Asia is $4.54, and the rest of the world is $3.35. So again, consider who your audience is and how you are marketing to them. What we want to talk about is remembering that, you know, while we may be our mother's daughters, we're not what the way they were. We're not the way they were, not the way they dressed, not the way they thought. We are much more progressive in our positioning. And so this begs the question about, I'm curious to know, and you can think about this. Do you craft content to fit what's trending? So are you doing it on TikTok and pointing like this, or on Instagram stories and pointing out? Like that's maybe what's trending, but it's not going to be part of that little piece of memory trace that I spoke about and stand out and be different, because being different is so much better than being better. So think about crafting different content that stands out, that kind of, you know, it allows you to laugh at yourself or your age group, or have some fun about being a little bit vulnerable. Because the bottom line is, if you are an online entrepreneur, you have to be seen to sell. You got to remember that, you know, you can be putting all this content out, but if nobody sees it, nobody's going to buy. So I invite you to join me next week for a little workshop I'm doing. And it's 21 science-backed, influence-packed triggers. And this is the website to go and lock in your seat. And this ain't just for old farts, I might add, that there are these 21 triggers are really about everybody who right now feels unseen, who feels like they're not getting engagement, who feels like, you know, they're doing everything right, but nothing seems to be clicking except the crickets. So I will put this link as soon as I finish my little webby here, and I will put the link in the description, in the captions, and I urge you to join the VIP list and get registered in the Unseen Entrepreneur Workshop. And this is what's called case sensitive. So in other words, you need to put the uppercase and lowercase in to get the link to work. But I'll put the link in the captions above. So, hope you got a little bit out of this, in that women of a certain age are perceived to be invisible, and that's just friggin' poppycock. So whether you are the unseen entrepreneur or whether you are the target audience, marketers need to be really cognizant of this particular audience and make sure you're catering to them, their behavior, and their interests, and from my perspective, their sense of humor. So I'm Darcy from Sticky Bee. Thanks for joining me today for this little quick intro, and I look forward to seeing you next week in the workshop. Bye for now.